Greg Barber, and welcome to Beta Steel's Industry Insider, our quarterly news segment focused on the steel wire and metal forming industries. Joining me in today's discussion is Scott Bernstein and Mark Martin. How do you summarize today's business climate?
Greg, today's business climate is very strong. Being in Southeast Michigan, as we are, and so heavily tied to the automobile industry, the cold heading market in Detroit is very good.
Supply seems to be an industry-wide concern. Raw material demand is on the rise. We have all been presented with recent price increases. What are the supply constraints?
Well, there's actually two different issues when you talk about capacity. We've got hot roll capacity concerns as well as processing capacity concerns. From the hot roll side, we've just recently seen one of the domestic mills decide to pull away from the cold heading market in favor of special bar quality. Now, the issue has come up that the special bar quality market has readily accepted and passed through, set up a mechanism to pass through price increases both and decreases as the market dictates right through the supply chain. The cold heading industry has been pretty stable for quite a long time. But in the meantime, a gap has developed where the mills are looking and saying, why do we want to sell cold heading when we can sell SBQ at $100 a ton premium? And actually, there's a couple of domestic mills right now that are running at reduced rates, not putting out product in the market as we might like them to do, simply because of that margin difference between SBQ and cold heading. The SBQ price increase was announced at the same time as cold heading. That's already gone through the market. They have accepted it, they've passed it through to their customers, while we're struggling, and certainly no one likes price increases, and we're trying to find ways to deal with that and mitigate the impact. But it could become a capacity issue should more mills decide that they're going to restrict the amount of production they have, choosing the higher margin products over ours in our industry. On the processing side, the issue is really annealing and coating. There's a lot of drawing capacity. People all over the marketplace have got draw blocks. The investment to get involved in drawing is rather minimal. Most of the cold headers have gotten involved in quick draws that will allow them to put a skin pass on before the header. But the annealing and coating is a much larger investment. And we are fortunate in Southeast Michigan to have a number of toll processors that do a great job for us. But they're stretched. Business is good and it's solid, and we certainly expect in the next couple of years for it to remain that way. And if there's not going to be more investment in that kind of processing, we certainly have seen lead times expand, and those processors come under some capacity restraints.
Where we've seen the biggest increase on that 40% is at the processors. I think the mills can keep up fairly well, but it's the processing capacity where they're talking about a processing shortage for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's debate if it's in balance or short. But that first quarter, the first 4 months of 2014, we saw tremendous lead times stretch out, and there was doubt as to if there was enough capacity in the marketplace. And things have seemed to have settled out, May, June, July, as you kind of take your breath, get into the summer season, and we'll see what happens in the second half of 2014, because now is the time where the automakers have to get the 2015s into the showroom.
Well, you touched base on the increased demand. Where did the trade cases, the most recent trade cases, fall in, and the potential shortage in cold heading quality material?
Well, I think I'll start if you don't mind. I think the key is The trade cases were against primarily low-carbon IQ Chinese rods that were claimed to be being dumped into this country, injuring the domestic mills. So there has been some preliminary rulings against the Chinese. They have backed away from importing into this country. There have been other countries that have stepped into the shortage at not quite the low levels pricing-wise that the Chinese have, but there's been mills out of Spain, Russia, the Ukraine, et cetera, that have attempted to fill that gap. But at the same time, it's a matter of just allocation resources. As Mark said, if a steel mill can get $100 a ton premium selling SBQ, they're going to direct their resources into making SBQ over IQ, or SBQ over cold heading. So with the trade cases, if there's less IQ coming in and the prices go up, the domestic mills are going to have to make a decision. Can they get a better return making IQ or cold heading? The IQ market is far larger than the cold heading market. And at times, cold heading pricing, the IQ market will have a tendency to push the cold heading market pricing up. Because if they can get X amount for IQ, which is a generally lower quality, a lot less pressure on the mill, they're not going to take any less than that selling cold heading or an SBQ, which is a higher level, higher quality material.
So the mills are entitled to the price increases.
Well, I don't want to make a judgment one way or the other, but certainly we're all in this business to make a profit. And, we play golf as a hobby, but business is for making money. So you certainly can't begrudge anybody for trying to make money. And like I say, we know from history in this business that you've got to make it while business is good. Make hay while the sun shines. Getting back to the imports, as Scott said, the trade cases today are really geared at the commodity products. Now, in this country, we have mills that are geared towards that and do not participate in the cold heading business. We have mills that are strictly cold heading and SBQ, and that's the issues that are going on today. So I don't really see those trade cases affecting our ability to find material for the cold heading industry. I think the bigger threat, as I said earlier, is the fact that where's the margin? And if the mills can't get a decent margin on the product that we want to buy, then we may have some issues.
Okay, we've seen marginal gains on the construction side of the industry. Anything different for 2015?
We're always hoping that the government is going to come through with a significant transportation package that would spur on growth in the construction market. We haven't seen it yet. The bill that was recently signed is a stopgap measure again, in my estimation anyway, and we haven't seen anything that's really going to change that marketplace. There certainly is pent-up demand, and at some point in time, it's got to happen. I mean, God forbid that we have another W-35 bridge collapse like we had in Minneapolis. But that's the kind of thing that's going to spur the government to really make a decision. I think the significant thing, again, it gets back to the pent-up demand. We have it certainly in the construction market. The issue for us in cold heading in the automotive sector is that we are chewing up the pent-up demand for automobiles and light-duty trucks that was created by the recession.
From the studies I've seen, the population in the United States continues to grow where it's decreasing in the rest of the world. You have people that still want to come to this country, people still having kids. I think that 16 million mark is very attainable and very capable for a long time. And I've seen forecasts that have as much as an 18 million build by 2020. In addition to the car build, you also have more people, more houses. Housing starts have been up off of the 08, 09 time period, but 14 is only marginally better than 2013 on housing starts. The numbers for 2015 look to be in line, I'd say, with 13, 14, 15, because in my mind, the automobile business, automobile is strong, agricultural is strong, aerospace is strong, which gives the mills a nice base load, which creates some opportunities for possibly margins getting better if they can get it. But once the construction industry takes off, and whether it's new transportation packages or new homes, which also then leads into white goods and refrigerators and all the other stuff, then you're off to a situation where you can get a 2004 or possibly a 2008, where you have, maybe there's supply constriction on the processing, like you said, but you have a greatly increased, demand as well. So I think as long as construction is at bay or not really taking off, I think things will be somewhat in balance. Mm-hmm. But once construction takes off, because construction touches everything, far more than cold heading, because construction is angles, channels, beam, plate, rebar. It touches everything, which also then leads into the scrap demand, which is another impact on just costing and the supply curve.
Mark, Scott, I'd like to thank you for your insight.
Thank you, Greg.
Supply constraints go beyond that of raw material processing and machine time availability. Transportation is a key component of all manufacturing supply and output. Right now, I'd like to introduce Jim Duane, owner of JD Logistics Trucking. Jim, what challenges are you facing?
Right now we're seeing tonnage on the rise and unfortunately a shortage of available trucks and drivers to haul it. Dating back to the recession, we had a lot of fleet owners that decreased the sizes of their fleets. Owner-operators got out of the business entirely. When we saw tonnage take a dive, it wasn't worth for a driver to choose truck driving as a career, and now we're seeing the consequences of that. Increased federal regulations has increased the constraints on companies to meet customers' delivery times and allow a driver to make a decent wage.
Well, should we expect continued tightening of these federal regulations?
From what we're hearing, yes. The federal government has talked about making electric onboard recorders mandatory in all newer trucks. They've even, in their 5-year plan, we've seen verbiage used by them that indicates they may want to get involved in regulating shippers' activities when it relates to hauling freight.
There's an obvious shortage of qualified drivers. What needs to happen to fix this?
Well, we need to make it more appealing for someone to say, I want to be a truck driver. To do that, we need to increase their pay. We need to give them performance and safety bonuses, as well as guarantee their home time. Being out on the road 5 days a week away from their families, there needs to be a balance to that to say this is worth it. Since the recession, drivers have gotten out of the business and they can find jobs more locally for about the same pay.
Well, has the federal government done anything to assist with the recruitment or development of qualified drivers?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, is anybody standing up for companies like yours or for the owner-operators out there, in light of these costly regulations?
Yes, there are associations and organizations such as ATA, America Truckers Association, who have just recently submitted a letter to the Secretary of Transportation asking them to remove what's called the scoring activity related to their new regulation that started back in the middle of 2012, which implemented the CSA scores, the Compliance, Safety, Accountability scoring system that government research as well as other universities has looked at the reliability of this data and have found it actually to be unreliable.
What do you feel the long-term impact is on your customers?
Long-term impact is going to be higher freight rates and an increased difficulty meeting the delivery needs. The hours of service regulations that have been implemented have decrease the amount of time trucks can be on the road, increase the amount of time that they have to take breaks in between their work weeks, as well as making a mandatory break during the amount of time they're allowed to drive.
How's JD Logistics addressing this situation?
Well, Greg, we're growing our fleet. We're looking to attract more drivers to our company. In order to do that, we're updating our equipment, we're buying newer equipment, we're enhancing the pay package we're able to offer the drivers. We're being sensitive to the fact of their home time, and we're also being sensitive to the fact of the available time these government restrictions we've talked about allow them to be on the road. So that pay structure will address that. And we're also growing our fleet because if the regulations are constricting how productive we can be on the road, well, we need more trucks then on the road to service our customers' needs as well as their customers' needs.
Well, I'm sure everything you're doing will be of great benefit to your customer and to your customers' customers. Jim, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you have found this segment of Beta Steel's Industry Insider informative. We welcome any questions or comments you may have on our broadcast. If you'd like to be part of a future discussion panel, please contact us at Beta Steel.